Several podcasts ago, we asked you to offer a rating or an opinion on our podcasts on iTunes. I think it was we asked, because we're on a variety of different platforms. And you will be pleased to know we've gotten a whole bunch of reviews. They have all been 5-star.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to share this one with you, Rachel.
Okay.
Okay. I should have my glasses. Love listening to this podcast. This is from Andrea. It is so real and authentic. I appreciate listening to everyone's story. It reminds me that I am not alone, and it helps me to remember how amazing people in recovery are. And then Rachel is, in capital letters, amazing. Such a brave leader in Salt Lake City.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I made that up. No.
I take it all back.
I wrote it this morning.
No, it's real. And somebody named Pokemon Not a Go. Love this podcast. Fantastic podcast about real people dealing with addiction. So thank you, Pokemon, as well.
Thank you for the feedback. That's how we grow and learn. And so
Sure. And if you have any suggestions on how we can make the podcast better,
right,
we certainly appreciate, or whether you think it sucks, it doesn't matter.
Either way, it's okay.
Yes. Welcome to another edition of Odyssey House Journals. I'm Randall Carlisle, along with Rachel, the amazing Rachel Santizo. And our guest today is Michelle Wiggins. So welcome. See, you didn't know you were on such a... Now, if you can get all your friends to go on iTunes and say, I love you, Michelle, on the podcast.
We can announce it.
I wonder how many people do that on whatever, if a TV show, or in my situation, it was being on the news or something, and like when Salt Lake City Weekly has voting for the best anchor or the best whatever, how many people rig the thing and say, go in, vote as often as you can.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I know that some voting, though, they've changed it to where you only get a vote once.
Right, because they can trace where it came from.
Yes.
Damn.
I know. That's out the window.
Yeah.
We tried.
So, Michelle, I don't know anything about you. Tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm in recovery. My sobriety date is February 12th, 2022. I also work at First Step Recovery House. I actually just got a promotion to be the new recovery support staff trainer, along with one other coworker. It's been great.
First Step is one of the premier treatment centers in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
So, and so you're in. What was your date?
February 12th, 2022.
So you're well over a year into it. Did you go through First Step?
No, I went through Journey. I graduated through Journey. So, first I started off with Odyssey House. Back in I got kicked out April 2021.
Okay.
I'm honestly really surprised they kept me as long as they did.
I love when we could admit, oh man, I was horrible. I get it,
that
take
makes
ownership.
It sound like Odyssey is just horrible because we kick people out.
No,
I think it was something you did.
Oh no, for sure.
Yeah.
That's why I'm really surprised they kept me as long as they did, because I was on back-to-back boarders. So
boarders is when you do something that's in violation of the rules. I guess.
Yeah. So I was very, very angry at that time. I had some traumas that was going on. I didn't know how to reach out or talk about it. And so I had a lot of threats and acts of violence, borders that I was on.
And that's a no-no at Odyssey.
No.
It's a no-no at any treatment center, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, definitely. So I went from there, and then...
So when you went to Odyssey, were you ordered to go? Did you go on your own terms? How did you get to going into treatment?
So I convinced the judge to let me go. But it became being ordered there.
Yeah.
So
okay.
But I was very thankful to be there. I still learned a lot from Odyssey. If you take in any treatment center that you've been in, whether you've been kicked out or graduated, there's always something to learn from each treatment.
Absolutely.
So, and I was very blessed that I was able to actually be there.
I think that, that's a good point you bring up before we continue with your story. But a lot of people, I think the national average is you go through 7 treatment centers before something kicks in for long term.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people look at it, it doesn't mean you're a failure. It means you've had ups and downs. But most people will say, just like you did, that, well, I picked up something from this one, and I picked up something from this one. And all of a sudden, something clicked.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you were ready, whatever that is.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're okay.
No.
And then, so after I left there, I was doing good for a little bit. And then I found out that my ex-husband had passed away, and I didn't know how to deal with that. So I was, at that time, I was trying to get into 7th Street, the IOP in 7th Street. I ended up relapsing. It's kind of a funny story. So I go into my probation officer's area, and I had a box cutter knife on me in my purse because I was doing construction, and I ended up getting taken to go to jail. So then I'm in jail, and then I'm calling 7th Street every single day to try to get into residential. I finally get into 7th Street, and this was about, I think, around July, end of July, I believe. And then I go there, and I'm there for about like maybe a week and a half, and I get kicked out of there. So, and very good reason for it. I kept smoking a cigarette before finishing my chores. And I took that in as, okay, that can be seen as entitlement. I'm not worried about what anybody else is doing. I'm worried about what I want, and only what I want at that time. So I took in that lesson and went to Journey, and I ended up graduating Journey April last year.
So no violence and no personal entitlement while you're at Journey.
No, I learned a lot from there.
That's what people don't understand. That addiction is probably one of the most selfish things anybody in the world can do, because your primary concern is you, and pleasing yourself.
Yeah, and I think it's the entitlement, and then I also think it's the awareness of, I'm gonna ruin my life and go down for something so simple. Like that awareness too, like smoking the cigarette at a different time, but you're willing to like give everything that you've worked so hard for that.
For a cigarette at a certain time.
Yeah.
Think
so
about,
it's all important lessons.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But looking at it in hindsight, it's like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, really, was it that important? But at the time it was, right?
Yeah, some of my residents are like, wait, start my smoke. My residents are like, you got kicked out for that. I mean, we got to look at it this way, like you're doing chores with other people. So if you're just going off and doing whatever you want, and you're leaving the other people doing what they're supposed to be doing, like that kind of
right. You keep working. I'm going to do a smoke break now, because that's what I want to do.
Yeah,
So yeah, well, so how did your issues with drugs begin, and at what age?
So at 12 years old is when I actually first started drinking, and smoked weed for the first time. I had there's a lot of childhood traumas that came with that. So at the age of 6, I was molested by a female. At the age of 9, molested by this foster family. And then at the age of 12, my mom had just gotten married to this guy that he was such a winner. And I just didn't know how to deal with any of those things. So I was hanging out with these kids from high school that were in high school. And I got drunk and high for the first time. Took my aunt's car for a joyride and crashed the car. I'm not even a block away from the house.
On your first experience?
Yeah.
Wow.
Boy, that's
started early.
And the cop was like really he was in shock. He didn't even know what to do. It was like 3:00 in the morning. He looked at me, looked at the car, and he's just like, okay, I'm going to give you a ticket to go to traffic school. That's like all I got. So my mom ended up telling the cop that I was trying to kill myself with the car. So that kind of like saved me and her in a way. And I ended up on like a 72-hour hold. She was out of state, and then she came back. And
So at that point, you would think that you would be scared.
You would
But
think.
yeah, exactly. This is like how we operate. What happened next?
So after that, I ended up moving to Utah. I'm originally from California.
Oh.
So let me backtrack on that.
Okay.
But did you continue using like right after, or did you stay away from alcohol and weed?
I pretty much stayed away for a while. In high school, I started drinking a lot on the weekends. I was always partying on the weekends. And then, about age 16, I tried Coke in high school. I did that a couple of times. And then, but
was that in California or here?
That was here.
16.
So at the age 12, we moved to Utah, and then I was only there for a year, and then we came back to California, and I was jumping around a lot. I didn't really grow up with family either. So my mom was a single mom, and she was going through school and working graveyards, and so I kind of used that too. I was like, oh, she's going on graveyards. So I'm gonna throw
she's
house
not
parties.
going to be around.
It's true.
Yeah.
And then the age of 21, I came back out to Utah and drinking. And then, so in 2014, I had met my ex-husband, and I had gotten into a car accident. I had broken my tailbone snowboarding, and so he had these Roxy 30s. And before that, I wouldn't even touch ibuprofen or anything. But as soon as he gave me that Roxy 30, I was sold. I was like, okay, this is taking all my pain away right now. And then from there, so I was going to pain management clinics. I had ran out of my pain meds, and my ex-husband had handed me a nose spray. And he told me that it's okay. It'll only just come up as morphine. You'll still pass your UA at the pain clinic. So I was like, oh, okay. So, do the nose spray. Come to find out it was heroin.
Wow.
And
in a
did
nose
he make
spray.
it? Yeah.
Yeah. So he just gets like this nose spray from like Walmart or whatever that you can like take off the top.
Oh, so he made it. Okay.
So then he made it in there.
I hadn't heard of that before.
We both were like, what?
People are selling nose spray now.
Yeah, so he made it.
Yeah.
And then from there, I just chose to keep using. So I'm like,
So you were hooked on opioids.
Yeah.
I have to ask you, like, what brought you, because California and Utah are so different. Like, what brought you to Utah from California?
It's gonna be an interesting story on that one too. So when I would come and visit Utah every once in a while, because I still had this friend from junior high that was still out here. So one November I came out, and she had introduced me to this guy. Okay. And so we're like hitting it off. I go back to California, and my mom gets his phone number from my phone. And so to her, he looks great. He has his own place, his own job, his own business, and somehow so she told him that I was coming back to Utah, like convinced him that I was wanting to move to Utah. Anyway, so I get on this, she gets this plane ticket, and I could have chosen not to go on the plane. Granted, those were all my choices. I ended up getting on the plane, and I just felt so mad because I felt like this wasn't really explained to me. This is what was going to happen. But I just went anyways. And
it's like your mom gave you away almost.
Yeah, in a way. And I hate to say these things because I know my mom will probably watch this sometime. It was still my choice.
Yes, only say what you feel comfortable.
Yeah. So it was definitely my choice to still get on that plane either way.
You were how old and he's how old?
And I was about 21, and he was just 2 years older than me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, luckily he turned out to be a great guy. We just stayed friends. I worked from the ground zero, so I got a job waitressing, which at that time I was thinking it was going to be minimum wage plus tips. Come to find out, it was $2.25. I was like, what?
Oh no.
But it still worked out really well because I saved up, got my first car. It was a Suzuki Sidekick, a manual. Suzuki? I did not know how to drive a manual.
I remember them.
I know. Back in my day.
Now, are you using the whole time?
No, not yet.
Oh,
No, I was
okay.
just drinking at that point.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I just saved up and just started from ground zero at that point.
So you literally have no family out here. It was friends, like you created a life out here?
Well, my stepdad's side of the family is out here.
Okay, so you do have some family.
Yeah.
What transition from there? So you're drinking a little bit, you're getting your life together. Like what transition to you catching charges? Like what kind of charges? Like what shifted?
That's when, so in 2014, with my ex-husband.
Yeah.
And then I got introduced to that, and I just kept wanting to use from there. I mean, I found that heroin like not only took away physical pain, but the emotional pain. And I didn't have to try so hard to hide everything. So I was just sold.
Yeah.
And then I was going through a divorce with him about 2015.
Okay.
I ended up seeing somebody else, and then I ended up pregnant in 2016. And I had my daughter June 8th of 2017. When I was pregnant, I did quit everything cold turkey. I didn't even want to take pain meds. I didn't even want to smoke cigarettes, nothing. Everything was just about her at that time. And then when she was born, I ended up with really bad postpartum depression. Because I felt this guilt so my ex-husband ended up on the birth certificate because in Utah, apparently you're the rightful father if
you're married.
Yeah, if you were married and not, like if you had the kid between like 300 days of divorce or something like that.
Wow.
So
That's interesting.
Yeah, I was like, what? I didn't know that was a thing. But he ended up being a great father, like hands down, great father. He took on the role. Her biological father was in and out of prison. I still try to make sure that he was in her life too. But it just didn't work out that way.
Can you explain postpartum? Because postpartum is so real and we don't talk about it enough. Like what it was and how it affected you. I think that's a really important topic.
Yeah. So after I had to have an emergency C-section with her. I wouldn't dilate more than 5 centimeters. Wow. So she was, yeah. So I got cut open and I ended up back on pain medications again.
Opioids?
Yeah. Dilaudids.
Okay. Well.
It's pretty.
Here, honey. Here's
right.
Oh, okay.
So, the postpartum really hit when she was crying in the middle of the night, and I was trying to get to her, and I ended up falling to my knees, not able to get to her, and it broke my heart. So then, sorry, I might tear up a little bit. So then I started taking more of the pain medication, so thinking that, okay, that's going to numb my physical pain even more so I can get to my daughter. My ex-husband was working. I was just at home, and he would come home and he's like, well, I'm working all the time and taking care of you, taking care of her. So then I'm here and go popping more pills so I can do stuff. So, and I also had that fear. So my mother, she's a wonderful, strong woman, hands down, very independent.
If you're watching, Mom, listen to that again. Strong, independent, wonderful. Okay.
But she wasn't very emotionally available at the time. And so her family's from South America, Chile.
Okay.
So they're just not very emotionally available. Anyway, so I had that fear that I might be like that with my daughter. So then I was being distant with my daughter, thinking that I was saving her from me.
And it makes sense, right? Like it's a survival, like a technique, a protection technique in the moment.
Yeah, so it just at the time made sense.
Right.
And then so when that was going on, so my ex-husband and I were trying to work things out at that time. But then I decided not to work it out with him. And then he told the family that I was doing heroin because I started getting back into heroin again. So then this whole thing started happening. Families knew that I was on it, and I just felt very alone. I didn't know how to communicate what was going on, like the pain that I was feeling, or the loneliness that I was feeling, or the fear that I had of being a mother, even though I wanted to be the mother and I was so happy, but I feared it so much.
Sure.
So that started going on. And then in 2019, I started catching charges. I got the DUI, possession. And so I was in and out of jail like a freaking revolving door, to the point where like the guards knew me by name.
Hey, Michelle's back. Hi.
Yeah,
Hi, Michelle.
it was bad.
Yeah.
And then during those times of like 2019 to 2020, like there was just so much traumas after trauma. I ended up living on the streets, living in the car. I had been jumped. This is where I might cry. Before I went to Odyssey, I had been held hostage for 2 weeks. And my PO didn't know where I was. So then finally, when I was able to escape, my PO found me and then just kind of threw me in jail. And I just didn't know how to deal with all that stuff, which is why I was so angry.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's just like back-to-back stuff that was going on. And my best friend had passed away.
I'm sorry to hear that. Like, just before you go on, like that is really scary. And thank you for being vulnerable. And I'm really sorry to hear that you went through that.
So you've talked about when you get out of jail and you go through Odyssey and 7th Street and then Journey, right? You've had what you just described to us is a ton of trauma in your life, sexual abuse multiple times when you're growing up, and then this that you went through, being kidnapped. One of the things that treatment focuses on is getting to the root causes of why you were trying to numb yourself. So somebody successfully helped you deal with your traumas?
Yeah. I mean, I would say, between Odyssey, 7th Street, and Journey, just all the support, writing the autobiographies, feeling heard, feeling that support of like, we understand. Sorry, it's feeling like somebody just understands and actually cares, and then even the recovery community. I learned about FTR through Odyssey.
That's Fit to Recover, and that's where Rachel works. So, yeah.
So, and then ever since then, I kept going to FTR.
Yeah.
So just
why?
being, so why?
Yeah.
I know you're like,
what
wait a
does
second.
it do for you? So you're going
Because
through
you
all
were
this
there,
trauma.
Rachel.
No,
Yes.
it's
That's
like
one of the
the
reasons, yes.
aftercare. Thank you.
You're
It's like that aftercare though. So you get done, you've addressed your trauma, but then like, how do you continue on so that if that trauma surfaces or, like, what is it for you today? Because now you're working in treatment too. And so what does it do for you? How are you doing it? You are such a strong female presence. And so how?
I got a sponsor while I was in Journey. Started working my steps, and that helped a lot too. Step 4, that one's a doozy.
Yeah.
But what I like about it though is that, so you're writing this list of the resentments that you have, but then you go back and you look at your part in it, and that helps so much. So I'm like, okay, so that, which is why I was saying, like, with the plane getting sent over here, it was still my choice. I didn't have to get on that plane. I was old enough. I could have figured out something else.
Sure.
Right.
Just say no.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going.
Or like my ex-husband, when he gave me the nose spray, I didn't have to continue using, but I chose to.
Right.
So it's kind of cool to be able to look at those things and know that like we always have a choice in our actions and everything that we do in our lives. So.
I'm excited. Well, I'd love to know more because we were just talking in the hallway and you were excited about martial arts. And you don't hear that a lot. And so what's this love for martial arts? Like, tell me more.
So, in California, I was actually dating this guy, Sean Harmon, Mark Harmon's son. I don't even know who Mark Harmon was, the guy from NCIS. Like, So his son was like, "Oh yeah, that's my dad," and I'm like, "Who?" But anyways,
Yeah.
now I know. But
It's not a show that young people watch. I watch it at my age, but yes.
yeah. So he was actually a coach for Muay Thai.
Mm,
So then I started taking Muay Thai then.
love it.
And then that kind of just stuck with me. I'm like, okay, like I actually really like this. Like, you know, feeling like you can get that energy out and like whatever anger you might have, but being able to like hone it in a positive way.
Yeah.
You know, I'm stuck at explaining things, but
I think you're doing great. I love it.
So,
And the other thing is you're doing it with other people in recovery.
Mhm.
We talk about that all the time. It can be going to Fit to Recover. It can be sober softball. It can be going to USARA and all the events that they do. But in my opinion, and maybe I don't know how you feel, but who you hang around with is really important once you get out of recovery.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, once you get out of treatment.
Yep, definitely. Another reason why I was excited about FTR starting is because I already feel like it's a safe place. You know, and then everybody there, like I feel safe with. So even though, and I'm not gonna lie, there was a couple of times where I got a little bit of like flashbacks or some triggers while we were doing the martial arts.
Yeah.
But I'm able to redirect it and say, okay, no, I'm in a safe place.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
And that's an empowering thing. I think that because one of the things for me is coming from domestic violence is when I started lifting weights, I started feeling like I could protect myself, like I was strong enough within my own personal body. So I think it's so badass when females do stuff like this and then speak about it.
Oh, I agree. Or anybody, a guy.
It can be a guy too. You're right.
Empowering. Yeah. And working at First Step helps a lot. I mean, I joke. I spent decades in TV news, and at the end of the 10 o'clock news, most of the people said, "Let's go to the bar for a drink." Okay, nobody at Odyssey House has ever said at the end of the day, "Let's go to the bar for a drink."
Yeah.
And so it's a lot easier just who you hang around with.
Yeah, that's true.
What's your favorite thing about working in treatment? Like, what does it do for you?
I think my favorite thing is being able to see their growth and for them to actually know, like, the staff members that are working there, they understand, you know, they've been through treatment or they've been through recovery, you know, they understand it to a point and that it's a safe place and just being able to give back what was given to me when I went through treatment.
And see, I mean, not everybody succeeds in a treatment program, as you're a testament to. But seeing the ones who do succeed, and then maybe seeing them later or reconnecting with them. I can't tell you how many times I run into somebody who's wildly successful at whatever they're doing or wildly happy, which is the key, saying, I went to Odyssey 15 years ago or something, you know, and it's fulfilling.
It is.
You know.
As soon as you see that light come on in their eyes, it's such a gift too. Like even if you can just get at least one person, you know you're doing a good job.
I agree. And your comment about light in the eyes is very interesting. I mean, you see some people there's just a dullness, and it's like, and they're not ready. It's sort of like, screw you, I'm not going to do any of this stuff.
Yep.
And then other people who are say, I'm almost out. I can't wait for the next step of my life. And there's a shining light in there. Your eyes are shining right now. You know.
It's true.
Have you noticed that?
I've noticed that, like, a lot of people when they come in, I notice more like their skin color. It's more like a gray, and that's so I notice like the skin color, and you're kind of like hunched over versus like you start brightening up and like getting that color back and holding your head a little bit higher. Like that is incredible. That is the best feeling, because I know that you say if you help just one person, because so much of my life, like I wanted to be that one person that someone did that for. And so it's so fulfilling to like give back what's been given to you or to give what you wish that you had. Yeah. I think that's because it gets us outside of here and it helps us in our own recovery. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story today. And it's hard one of the things people in recovery learn is to be open and honest and share their story. Yeah. And somebody who may not be in recovery, who went through the same stuff you went through, would not share that. So thank you. Yeah. Right? I'm sure you're providing inspiration because there's somebody out there watching or listening who said, that happened to me, right? And I can do it. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Very proud of you.
And thank you for watching another edition of Odyssey House Journals.